You're not going to get self-esteem because everybody praises you. Someone can tell you your whole life that you're brilliant, you're a genius, you're beautiful, you're handsome, and you not believe it. Someone can tell you you're a piece of crap and you're never going to become anything, and there's a part of you can say, I'll show you, as many people have, and then they develop drive out of it, right? So it's really, self-esteem comes from doing incredibly difficult things where you know you pushed yourself. It's not virtue signaling, it's not telling people about it. It's what you know inside your soul is true. And the more you do things that are incredibly difficult, and especially things that are meaningful, meaning they're not just about yourself, the higher that esteem would be. I think the most important thing for self-esteem is to find something you care about more than yourself. As long as you're in your own head, the nature of the mind is reductionism, right? Good, bad, right, wrong, all those types of things. Of course, life is much more, many different hues than that. And so when you find something you care about, whether it's your kids or whether it's something, your job, your career, whether it's a mission you have, that's something you want to bring to the world, nonprofit, doesn't matter what it is. If you find something you care about more than you won't be thinking about yourself all the time, and all your self-esteem just goes out the window. I mean, it's just, when I hear it, it's just so mamby-pamby BS. You can have crappy self-esteem and achieve a hell of a lot. Now, the real question is, what do you want? And I think if you want an extraordinary life, which my definition of that is life on your terms. Like, what's my idea? It might be different than yours completely. Some people, it's 3 beautiful children, a white picket fence. Some people, it's building a multi-billion-dollar business. Somebody else, it's writing poetry, right? So instead of looking for somebody else, it's like, okay, what do you really want from your life? And aligning yourself with moving forward towards what you really want. And I think if you can do that in a way that also you feel is serving others simultaneously, there's a sense of meaning in life that can't be replaced by self-esteem or praise or compliments or being nice to yourself. And I don't think it's bad to be tough on yourself. I'm pretty tough on myself, to be honest with you. But I'm much better at celebrating now. And I also realize being overly tough on yourself usually comes by making, comparisons that don't make sense. I remember I just was walking by and I saw, as I was walking here, a picture that reminded me of something, which was years ago. I was in Atlanta, Georgia. I was in my early 20s, like 23, 24, 25, and I was doing a seminar. And those days there weren't 15, 20,000 people. It was 125 people. I remember because it was the biggest seminar I'd done. I thought it was so exciting. And I give my heart and soul and, going 12, 13 hours a day. And on the third day, the rooms were so small, then I'd go by and look in everybody's eyes. I gave everybody a flower. I mean, I look back now, it seems silly, but it was really just, I wanted to make that connection. I wanted to make sure that they had made that shift. I was like so obsessive about making a true transformation happen. And earlier in the day, I got a phone call from a friend of mine who said, the boss, Bruce Springsteen, he was the biggest star in the world in those days. I loved him. And he's 4 blocks from you. He's at, the Atlanta Stadium there where the Hawks play. You just finish early and come over and you got to take it in. It was Christmas time. He said, it's going to be incredible. I said, I'd love to come, but I said, I just can't do that. If I finish somehow in time, it all happens, he's still on stage, I'll call you and see what's going on. So I finished the seminar, but Bruce usually does, especially at Christmas, he's like 3 encores. And so my buddy calls me and says, get your butt over here. He's doing a second encore. I think he might even do 3 if you get here. Get over here, see the end. So I sprinted the 4 or 5 blocks to get in, got in the stadium, couldn't find my buddy, but I got up into some high seats and I'm looking down, and it was back when Clarence was still there, and it was just the drive and the energy was incredible. The crowd was so engaged, and he was doing Christmas songs, and he ends with, Born to Run, and I'm like, I'm so into it. And about 3/4 way through the song, I got depressed. I'm like, what the hell? And what it was I was like, what I'm doing doesn't matter. This guy's got 15,000 people here. I got 125 for 3 days. I mean, I'm not making any difference at all. And I was like, and I literally, as we were walking out and people were born around, I was pissy inside myself, but I was feeling so great before this, but not making this comparison. And of course, you're never fair. You're comparing to somebody else's life that has a totally different path, a totally different experience. We all develop in different stages and different things. We all want different things. But eventually you wake up and say, it's good to be strong with yourself, but beating yourself up just lowers your energy. And when your energy gets lower, you produce less, right? You don't have the same level of joy. You don't have the impact that you want to have, nor do you have the excitement that you really want to have. So I look at it as something that it's worth earning your own self-esteem, but it's really not the secret. The secret is find something else you obsess about more than yourself, and you'll have a level of energy that will compel you over the long term.
It's that tension, this interesting tension between balancing ambition and gratitude.
Yes.
And, this fear that, well, if I pat myself on the back too much,
right,
what if that stops the drive? It's coming from this place of fear, this fear of not being enough, this fear of failure. I'm going to continue to disprove it. And I don't want to let up, because that's the only fuel that I know.
Yeah. Well, and I remember coming out of the beginning, it was anger that drove me. I'm just going to show you type of thing. But that fuel doesn't last. And then the next fuel that people tend to use is, I got to succeed. But there's a little fear underneath that's driving them, which is like, what if I don't? Versus a knowing, it's like, if you give your all every day, your gifts will make room for you. And it's like having a knowingness that things are going to be fine. And then there's the next level, which is you start to know who you are, and you're not trying to prove it to yourself or other people. And it's just, you just want to help. You just want to do things. And so now it's the difference between what I would call push motivation and pull, right? Push is, I'm going to make this happen. And it takes tremendous willpower. And I know you have plenty of willpower, I do as well. But there's a limit to willpower, but there's no limit to pull. Pull is when there's something magnificent that you want to serve, something that you've got an obsession for, to create or to do or make happen. And that you don't lose that energy, you don't lose those components, and you're able to laugh and enjoy along the way, as opposed to, oh, my God, if I don't keep doing this. And I used to believe that too. It's like, I got to be so intense every moment.
I think that's a balance a lot of people are trying to play with as well. They like to take things seriously. They care about their work. They're earnest, right?
Yes.
Earnestness being the bravery to take your emotions seriously.
Yes.
And this can end up sapping the fun and the play out of life.
Yes.
So you want to be treated like a serious person, like an operator, like someone that's here to actually do things and make a dent in the world. But you also realize after a while that if you're doing it so tightly, it creates this sort of brittle fragility around whatever you're doing. And when you look back, you have this series of miserable successes that you kind of gritted your teeth through. And you go, well, okay, I got the outcome that I wanted, but really what's the outcome I'm trying to achieve? Well, it's an enjoyable emotional state.
Yes.
What I'm trying to do is feel good in the moment as myself. And so, winning, achieving the thing, financial freedom, the business, all of that stuff is a reliable route toward getting you that. But there's a much more direct route, which is to enjoy the thing. So there is another tension here, I think, between seriousness of pursuit and joy and ease in the moment. And finding the balance between those two is something I think a lot of people struggle with.
That's true. It's an art. It's chemistry, right? And you don't get it right in the beginning. And, it takes time, and you have to have the intention to want both. You can engineer your life to have more happiness. But I think the real challenge is thinking so hardly about being taken seriously just represents your fears. I believe there's 3 decisions you make every moment of your life. You're making them right now if you're listening to me, and so is your audience. The first one is, what are you going to focus on? You're going to be focused on what happened yesterday, what you're going to have for lunch, what I'm saying, how it relates to you. There are millions of things you can focus on. But you don't experience life. You experience the life you focus on. And most of us are distortion, deletion creatures. Our brains don't take it all in consciously. It's too much. So our brains delete things. We distort things. We generalize things so we can make it through our lives. And so if you don't control your focus, you react. But the second decision you make every moment, the minute you focus on something, your brain has to figure out, what does this mean? Is this the end or the beginning? Is this person dissing me? Are they challenging me? Are they coaching me? Are they loving me? And whatever meaning you give it produces emotion. And out of that emotion, you make the third decision, what am I going to do? I'm big on change your story, change your life. And I'm big on understanding the narrative of where you are in the story of your life. Because if you understand where you are, it gives context, it gives meaning. And it doesn't make you feel overwhelmed. Pain's not enough to keep you going. Pain only goes so far. You've got to find something that, it's like I tell people there's 2 types of motivation, right? There's push motivation, you're making something happen, but there's still a limit to it. But there's no limit to pull motivation. Pull is there's something so magnificent you want to serve, something that you care about more than yourself. That's where all the energy in life comes from. You know what's in your heart and your soul, what wakes you up in the morning and makes you go. And I think if I hadn't had the pain, I don't think I would have been sensitized But also, if I hadn't felt the pleasure of serving and seeing impact on such a large scale, you get weaker and weaker the more you focus on yourself. The human mind is always going to figure out something that isn't good enough. But when you're serving, you're not there. Like, your mind's not there. You're with the people. You're with what you're doing. And it's the escape from the mind's reductionism. And so I really believe that the secret to life is to find something you care about more than yourself that gives you that pull motivation. And then you're never going to lack for energy. You're never going to lack for passion. You're never going to lack for anything. And you're going to have a life that's extremely meaningful. It's not happy every moment. There's not meant to be. If you smile, have you ever smiled so much your face hurt? We need variety. But meaning, that's something you can find no matter what. The 3 most important skills in life now are the ones that allow you to learn more rapidly. If you learn rapidly, you can win no matter what happens with the technology. And what are those 3 skills? Number 1, the skill of pattern recognition. When you can recognize patterns, you eliminate fear. Fear comes from, this has never happened before. I don't know what this is. Chaos. Like, I hear people all the time talk about how we've never been this place politically. We're here in America. We're going to have a civil war. And they don't do any history whatsoever. I have these 2 placards that I have, because back then they didn't have ads, right? They had placards. And one is from Thomas Jefferson talking about atoms, and one from Adams about Jefferson. And they said stuff that make Republicans and Democrats look like they're nice to each other. I mean, it's just unbelievable, that stuff they said.